Hello, this is David Birch, Star Path School of Navigation, with an update on looking at the conditions of Jacob Adoram. And here we'll look at the Google Earth in a moment, but this is the data. This is the latest FV3 GFS forecast, and that's here. Here's his vessel. These, you can barely see them, but these white dots are, each of them are one day ahead when rowing. Then down here, this is the present time, we can start the boat down that route. And that's the route directly to, he's got a pretty good route. Well, no, wait, we're forcing it to go. We don't know how he's going to actually go. This is assuming he can make the right route. He has been doing pretty well lately, and partly due to some very favorable currents, which we'll look at that later. But here's now a few days in advance, and he has a light air patch in here. You see, this is 2 knots of wind, so that's real light. But here's another thing. We've been passing the data on to him in a new way with a very powerful tool of this program. What I can do is just turn on the routes, and I'm looking at the vessel Emerson here, and with the routes on, there's this button here. So then I can turn that button on, and let me bring this up so you for sure see it all. So what this is is a meteogram of the conditions at the boat for these forecast hours, or which are these days looking ahead. And it takes into account the motion of the boat. Now, this boat's not moving very fast, but if I go back here, let me close this for a moment, you see it is moving. I mean, it's not moving fast, but you see this is a week, and in a week it's gone a ways. And in fact, we're getting, look here, we better be careful. In a week or so, we're getting into these islands here. So when is that? When's that boat get into those islands? So those boats are getting down here where there's all kinds of things to hit on Monday the 25th. You know, you have to start thinking here. So we'll switch and come back and do some navigation later and look at that. But so the boat is moving, and then if I click this now, we have this beautiful presentation that we can send then to Jacob, which he can look ahead and see what expects. Here's the pressure over the next 5 or 6 days, the wind, and here's that little light patch we looked at. This I cut out. He doesn't need this. This would be like for a bigger boat or a sailboat. And we don't need all these rain parameters. But we do send the simulated radar reflectivity. That's a probability of squalls. And let me look at that. If I go up here and turn off the colors of the wind and turn on the reflectivity. Now, pressure, wind, that's okay. And so let's go back to where he was. You see, that's where we are now. Okay, there's the boat. And he's been having a lot of squalls, by the way. So that's for sure borne out. And you see, this area here, this yellow now that is not wind. This colors now and the contours are related to the radar reflectivity, and that's reported up here. And those are, okay, so that's not terrible. Oh no, that's 40, 45, 50. Those are getting to be, those are big. This area is an intense squall right here. Now, he didn't say how intense his squalls were, but he's been in a lot of squalls, which are, you know, maybe these things right in here and so forth, or all of this area. So this simulated radar reflectivity is a very handy tool. And we have, let me just see if I have a picture. I think I brought it out. This is from our textbook. Yeah. In our textbook, Modern Marine Weather, we put together this way to interpret this reflectivity parameter here in terms of likelihood of squalls and heavy rains and showers, and some other notes about it. We look for the really sharp edges on this pattern rather than just the gradients like that. But like this right in here, very severe. Well, can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. So anyway, that's discussed in the book. But he has that parameter now. So that's right now, and so you can see marching forward. Let's see what his squall situation is. Looks kind of, anyway, he's been in and out of squalls, but I don't see, there's a little patch there again next Tuesday, and so forth. And so that's what this is very handy for squall forecasts like that. And so when we send this, it's up here. When we send this meteogram here that shows all the data, he's got that data here, which shows that sometimes the night of 21 to 22nd, he could should, and that's over 30. Anything over 30 is pretty big, probably pretty intense squall right there. So anyway, that's news there. That's how we do that. And this reminds us we've got to start looking at do some navigation so he doesn't run into anything. And it's also, strangely enough, it's a little bit tricky to get the best chart to show all these little islands and atolls and things, but we'll go over that. Let me go now to the Google Earth, and you see here's a Google Earth. And if I zoom in here on the red, you see that's been a pretty good progress right through here like that. Again, you check it by you just hit here and then go here, click it there and go down here. You see that's tremendous progress. That's 60 miles in a day. So that's pretty good. Pretty good. And this is now, one of the things that's been helping him is this current in the background. This current here is over a knot, And so he's got a knot of current kind of helping him in the right direction here. That is the Artoffs. That's actually, what day of Artoffs is that? Well, that's today. But this all looks the same in Artoffs for the next few days. So he's got a nice current ride here, like this, and then we'll watch that. The average for the Oscars over the years, over the last 10 days, it actually shows a sort of a patch of a stronger current here. What's that? That's over, let me put the scale on here. You see that current, that's getting up to 2 knots. So this patch here is like 2 knots, and that's been the average over the last 10 days. So he's got good current for a while, and that's that. What else we want to look at? Well, I'll maybe let these. We did have to move the ASCAT. Oh, I don't see it. I didn't save it. Okay, so we have the new ASCAT done, but unfortunately, you see, he has sailed out of the, let's see, the currents. Get rid of these currents. He sailed off of our ASCAT, and doggone it, I set this thing up, and I made it right, and probably forgot to save it. It's a little bit tedious to do that, so I feel disappointed. But let me go and get that back in there so that's working. Anyway, that's the report for today. He's making great progress, has good current, and we can look ahead to getting down into here to some of these really Robinson Crusoe type little islands around there. And another interesting thing on the horizon that we think about is the dip of the compass needle. And he's going clear across the globe with one compass, and I want to later come in and discuss the implications of that. He's going to have some issues at some point with using a magnetic compass. Okay, that's the end of this report.